Friday night is approaching and you might be thinking, it's a good time to actually go out there to a bar or a club, approach some beautiful girls, get some numbers, get some dates for next week. And for that, probably sitting at home, you're calling your buddies. None of your homies are answering. None of your friends are people who want to go out and pick up some girls with you. And that's all okay because we have the Brothing Facebook group, and all you need to do is go online, search for the Brothing Facebook group, join the group with 2,600 members, and over there it's the biggest self-help and dating group of India. You can find a person in your vicinity, someone who's like-minded, someone you can go out with. So you go online, you search for the Brothing Facebook group, you create a post looking for a wing in this particular city. A lot of people start texting you, a bunch of men start hitting you up, and you're like, wow, what is this happening? A lot of people are texting me, and I didn't know that there are so many people who are interested in game in my particular city. This blows your mind. Guys, in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how to find a suitable wing. Now, understand why I said a suitable wing instead of just a wingman, because to find any wingman, to find any guy to go out with and approach some girls is probably the easiest task. But in this video, I'm going to teach you the exact steps that I use. I'm going to share my own story of how I found suitable wings who I can go out with regularly, wings who challenge me. And not only that, how to find a suitable wing in your particular city, wherever you are. It doesn't matter which city you're from, doesn't matter which state you're from, it can be a tier 3 city or it can be a metropolitan. If you want to find a suitable wingman and you also want to learn how to improve your wing calibration throughout the process, this is the video you need to watch. So before I even start dropping knowledge bombs, I want to share my personal experience of finding a wingman in India. So most of you already know that I was studying in Singapore, and that's where I got introduced to game. Now, when I was studying there, when I was over there in Singapore, I had a bunch of friends who I used to go out with, a bunch of people I used to do some night game with, some day game with. Now, when I was in Singapore, I had my college friends, I had people who were interested in this skill, though they were not approaching as much, but I had a friend circle who I could go out with, who I could interact with during the daytime, during the nighttime. Now, when I came back to India, most of my school friends were abroad. Most of my school friends had shifted the country. Some of them were really busy in their work. Some of them were in committed relationships. And of course, I wanted to go out and approach some girls. When I came back to India, I thought it would not be possible because I'm all alone over here. I don't have anyone to go out with. So I started joining these forums that we had at that time. Now, these were some forums as well as these were some Facebook groups. And these were pretty old Facebook groups. They didn't even have like 200, 300 members at that time when I joined. And I started searching pickup artists online. Now I searched online on Google, and this very shady video of this guy who was giving an interview from Mumbai, I guess, I came across that video and I was like, oh wow, if this exists in India, I want to go out with some people who already know more than me. And that's something that you might be thinking. I want to go out with people who are experienced in this field, and that's all okay. I completely understand where you're coming from, but you also need to understand that you need to share some value before a guy who's advanced will go out with you. And I started posting a lot. So I started posting on the Facebook groups that, hey, I'm looking for a wingman, I'll sort out your club entries, I'll talk to the managers, I'll do this, I'll do that. I started posting a lot. And I realized a lot of men started hitting me up, a lot of men started texting me, and I started going out with each and every message that I got. Now, once I started going out, I realized that it was a big waste of time because 90% of the people have no idea about game, have never done a game before. And that's alright, I'll get to that later. 90% of the guys have no idea, and a lot of guys who I was meeting with the common interest of game were actually not interested in doing pickup when we were in the field. They were actually interested in talking more and just having a conversation. And I was like, this is not why I've invited you out, this is not why I'm going out, this is a big waste of time, I felt. So after that, I decided there was this one guy who was posting a lot, already. He was posting a lot on the Facebook group, and he was the only guy who was getting success at that time, so I texted him. For 6 months, he didn't read my message. So I texted him continuously, 3 to 4 messages, and he didn't reply to my messages, alright? Now, this was a guy who was actually good at this. This was a guy who was actually getting some sort of results in the group. And I thought, okay, if I can meet him, maybe he can, teach me about some cultural calibration in India, and maybe we can go out together. At that time, I had no idea about even the places, alright? So coming back, I met one of my friends through a WhatsApp group, I guess. And this guy texted me, hey man, I want to go out with you. I've heard a lot about you, because at that point of time, I had already gone out with a lot of people. I've winged a lot of people at that point of time, but I did not find a suitable wingman. No one I would like to meet again to go out and game. So I decided I'm going to game alone for that period of time. And guys, going out alone really builds that self-confidence, but it is really tough as well. It takes a toll because you have a lot of negative thoughts, you have a lot of self-doubt, and that is what was happening. So this guy texted me, and I'm like, okay, this is the last guy I'm going to meet. So I meet this guy, and I spoke to this guy on call before, and he looked cool, he appeared cool. We met, we went to a club in Delhi. We did some game, we did some pickup, we approached some beautiful girls, and we had good wing calibration, we gelled well. So for the next 2 years, we were doing game together, we were going to different places, different cities, going out, approaching girls, and we were just having a really good time doing that. Now, before meeting this guy, I had to meet 100 other people who I was not compatible with or who didn't have the same mindset. And today I want to shorten that process for you so you can find a suitable wing who you can go out with, take some action, and also have some crazy experiences. Now, selecting the right wing comes down to your screening process. Initially, I understand you don't have a lot of options, you don't have a lot of friends maybe. So some guy might message you off the internet and you might want to meet him, and that's alright. Go out and meet him because initially you don't have a lot of people to select from. Now guys, when I was doing some posts on Facebook group looking for a wing, trying to find a wing, I'll do this, I'll do that, a lot of people were texting me, and that was not a filtered process. But when I started putting my field reports, my lay reports, and this took me around 6 months to 8 months, I started putting a lot of field reports, a lot of lay reports on the group, and the guy who did not even read my text for the first 6 months, he texted me later. And later, after 1 year, when I became a coach, he did take a boot camp from me, and we became really good friends. He didn't even need the boot camp, he probably took like 2 days, he just wanted to meet, and he wanted to support the movement. So apart from that guys, what I want to tell you is, just putting a post looking for a wingman here, looking for a wingman there, and I'm not talking only about the Bro Thing Facebook group, though that is probably the best place you'll be able to find a wing in India, but I'm also sure there are some other groups as well. But if you want to really find a good wingman, a suitable wingman, you need to have a good screening process. And also, instead of posting just I need a wing or looking for a wing in this city, I can maybe take you out to a club, start posting your field reports, start posting your lay reports so that people can learn from your reports, and then the best people will approach you. Then you'll be able to find a suitable wing. So let's talk about the screening process. Now the screening process is fairly simple. You need to see how the person is, and initially you don't have much to see, right? You're meeting people through online, so you also need to be careful. You can't be trusting everyone. And you need to see how the person looks, you need to see what kind of beliefs he has related to dating. Now, if a person has really negative beliefs related to a woman, I might not go out with him, alright, if he's extremely misogynistic. So you need to understand his beliefs, his mindset, and you also need to see what he does when he's in the field with you. Because you don't want a wingman who's an anchor. You don't want a guy who's there in the field, who's taking a smoke break, who's drinking a beer, who's getting shit-faced sloshed. And I met a lot of people who did that. So you don't want any of that shit. All you want to do is focus on the skill, develop the skill, and that is the reason you guys are meeting. So think about it. Really observe what he's doing in the first gaming session. Is he putting all the pressure on you? Is he trying to be leechy? And guys, this is a big thing that you want to see, whether he has a leechy vibe or is he a more giving kind of a person. Because if you want to build a massive social circle, do game in different clubs, date really high quality women, then people will also see who you're hanging out with. Alright, and if the guy is not up to the mark, if the guy has a weak mindset, or maybe he's just thinking that okay, let him approach, and I'll just, once he approaches, then I will hook the set. That is what I've seen people doing, is like, I'm good at opening, I'm good at hooking, let's do game together. That's not how it happens. That's not how it's done. No one can pull for you. No one can get you laid. All you can do is learn from someone who's active in the field. You can see how he's doing it, and you can try to master the skill yourself by implementing it yourself. So no one can pull for you. So with that, I also want to say, if you're thinking, hey, I want to go out with a guy who has 10 years of experience in this, then what happens is, I went out with a guy in Singapore who had like 10 years of experience. At that time, I was just new. And I went out with him, and we were at a bar, and this guy is just pulling really attractive models, alright? And I'm just looking at him and I don't know what to do. I'm getting overwhelmed like shit. And my expectation now of game is over here. And I cannot meet my expectation because I've just started it. And I have this massive anxiety that, oh fuck, I will not be able to perform like this. I got completely overwhelmed. And what I see in the boot camps as well, if I'm gaming with students, that's why, when I'm doing a demonstration, I would tell the student to stand a bit far. Is what happens is because of the experience, they get overwhelmed. So it's not always a benefit for you to go out with someone who's much advanced than you. Of course, you learn a few things, but it is also a benefit for you if you go out with someone completely new, because at that time, all the pressure is on you. If you don't do the approach, it's not happening. So that's what I learned in my journey, that always have two wings. A wing who's extremely good at this, who can probably push you, challenge you, and who you can learn from a little bit, and a wing who you can teach, because whatever you learn, you want to implement it when you're teaching it. And once you're teaching it to someone, you're going to learn a lot more. So that definitely helps a lot. So always have two wings, and don't just think that, okay, I met one guy, now I'm going to go out with him all the time. Because that creates a lot of wing dependency, and that's what I've also seen with a lot of people, that, they learn game, they probably start doing game with one of their friends, and they've been doing game together for like 3 to 4 years, alright? Now, one friend lands in a relationship, he doesn't want to do it anymore, the other guy is like completely handicapped, he's like, oh, I don't know what to do when I'm going out. So don't land in this situation, and don't have wing dependency, location dependency. That's why I'm always shifting my wings, I'm always shifting my locations. I'm also doing game alone. So if you have a wing, go out with the wing one day, that's alright. Go out with an advanced wing the other day. Then go out alone one day as well. Because you really need to go out there alone, you need to face all the hurdles alone as well to build that true core confidence. And guys, one rule I have when I'm going out with wings is I'm always doing the first approach. Because I don't want to get stuck in that conversation where I'm talking to my wing, who's going to do the first approach? Do you see that girl over there? Because guys, understand, when you're going out with someone, it will kill your state if you're just going out and you're just talking about who's going to do the first approach. You need to understand that the approach is going to happen. You have to do the first approach. Always take the responsibility of the first approach on your shoulders and never get stuck in this weird conversation, because this conversation is not fruitful. This is not going to get you anywhere. Instead, if you're at a club, if you're at a bar and you're not feeling like it yet, use that time to talk about something funny, something interesting with your wingman. Maybe talk to some guys and also tell your wingman to go and do some approaches as well. Now, one thing I've learned is there's a lot to learn from everyone. No matter who I've gone out with, if he's a beginner, if he's a guy who's really advanced, if he's a guy who's just started it out, it doesn't really matter. If whenever I go out with anyone, even if he sucks at game, there's some pointers I can learn from him. Alright, maybe he's really good at opening, maybe he's doing back-to-back opens, maybe he's really good at hooking, maybe he's really good at something else. So whenever I go out with someone, I don't judge the other person. I don't judge him like if he's not doing the approach. I don't think like, oh, he's a pussy, he shouldn't be here. Man, I made a bad decision coming out with this guy on a Friday night. I don't do that. Alright, whenever I'm going out, I'm just looking at the positives from the person. Of course, I'm also seeing how like-minded we are. If you're not like-minded, it's not going to happen, because I probably want to go out alone in that case. And I'm looking at him and I'm observing what I can learn from this guy. What is the positive in this guy? Because every person has some upsides and some downsides. So stop looking at the downsides, start focusing on the upsides. And guys, personally, I've gamed with people of different nationalities, so there's always something new to learn. Maybe about their culture, maybe about different stuff, maybe about pickup. With each gaming session I'm doing with a new person, I make sure, even if it's my students, that I'm learning something. Whether it's about pickup, whether it's about anything else, about life. Maybe it's from a different field, he can give me some knowledge about a different field. And I'm always doing that because you shouldn't be wasting time. Also, if I go out with someone and I feel that, okay, this guy's not up to the mark, or maybe he has some issues like he's getting too drunk, or maybe he's creating a ruckus, or maybe he's fighting with girls, arguing with girls, then I cancel that wing really quickly. Maybe even if I'm out on a gaming session, I just tell him, hey man, I'm gonna go and do this alone. Alright, because you need to understand, you're meeting people off the internet with a common interest. He's not your brother, and guys, there's no cockfest to success in game. Alright, there's no cockfest to success. So don't get stuck in the bro zone that, okay, no, I'm here with him, so I have to entertain him, I have to please him. Don't do all of that. Alright, if it's not working out, just tell him, hey man, we're in the club, I think we better go off our own ways, because this is not happening. The reason I do this is because if I'm gaming with a person who's extremely misogynistic, who has negative beliefs related to women, or who's arguing with women, fighting with women, he will land in trouble in the club. Alright, because of him, if I'm with him, I'm also going to land in that trouble. And of course, you don't want to copy anyone else's negative beliefs. So I stay away from such wings, and definitely there are such wings and there are good wings as well. All you need to do is find out who the good wings are. Now, one more thing I want to mention is do not rely on your wing. Alright, do not rely on your wing. That's why I mentioned have one day with an advanced guy, one day with a beginner guy, and one day alone. The reason for that, guys, it's fairly simple. If you're texting your wing and your wing is not available and you have wing dependency, then that's a problem. Because without him, you might not be able to go out, you might not be able to feel that fun vibe, and you might not be able to approach that many girls. But you also need to understand, in game and in pickup, if you've seen The Beautiful Mind, an amazing movie, he has this theory that best result will come when everyone in the group does best for themselves. That is the same theory that I follow in my pickup as well, and that is something that you need to follow. Also, once you're going out with someone, you have a new wing, understand and respect his boundaries. Alright, I've seen wings who don't respect my boundaries, and of course that is a short-lived relationship. I've seen wings who respect my boundaries, and I have this friend, this amazing guy I've been winging since the past 2 years, and this guy I met in a bar, in a club, and funny enough, there was a time when the girl I was with had previously went on a date with him, and she was bouncing from me and him. She was in the club in the same night, she's bouncing to me, and then she's bouncing back, she's thinking I'm not looking at it. The guy comes and he's like, hey man, why don't we do one thing, why don't we just let this bitch go? Let this bitch go, don't talk to her at night, and like we're chill together. And that's how we became really good friends, and we both decided not to do that woman for that night, and we both separated our ways. We both were not paying her any attention, and that's when I realized, oh man, this is really good, like this wing calibration is really good. And funny enough, I thought no guy is going to be that honest, because it's a bar, it's a club, I'm meeting in a club, and no guy is going to be that honest for the first time. Of course he's going to go and hit on that girl, But this guy stayed true to his words. Alright, he stayed true to his words, and that showed me a lot about his character. That he was loyal, alright, he was respectful, and of course he had a boundary not to fuck his friend's girl. And that is a good boundary to have, because at the end of the day, if you're meeting guys off the internet, you don't want to get in problems, you don't want to get in fights. You're doing this to learn a skill. So have certain boundaries and communicate those boundaries with your wing, because if you don't communicate your boundaries to the wing is going to be unaware. He's not going to be aware of your boundaries. And guys, I had one wingman who I did game for about 2 years, and funny enough, he had a boundary that don't hit on my girl, and I respected that boundary. But then as soon as we go to the club, each and every girl he saw, he would call dips on her, like, I don't know, like he owns the woman, and he's like, hey, please don't approach her, please don't approach her, please don't approach her. And I got sick of it. I extremely got sick of it, and I could not game with him, because at the end of the day, I'm going out to learn a new skill. I'm going out to amplify my game, and I don't want to suppress it all the time. So if you have a wingman who has unrealistic boundaries, cut him out, find a new one. Find a new one, and I'm sure you'll get someone from the Facebook group. All you need to do is click the link in the pinned comment below and join the Facebook group. This is your coach Arnav, and I hope you find it good.